Thank you so much. I am Mr. Dembo Kambi, the President of the Gambia National Youth Council. Thank you so much. The Gambia National Youth Council is one of the most vibrant youth councils across Africa, being one of the first to be established within Africa. And as a council, we are in control of a lot of issues in that country, because the council, the government have recognized the council. They are not dictating our roles. They are not dictating what we should do. We are independent and we are executing our functions as the voice and the mouthpiece of the young people of that country. Basically, one of the responsibilities, or some of the responsibilities given to that council is to coordinate, supervise, monitor, and implement, and also advise government on youth matters. And that's basically that we are doing. We also provide that leadership and advice to the government on how, during their budget allocations or during planning programs, for young people to be captured or for young people to be at the center of those decisions when they're making those plans. And not even long ago, whilst I was coming here, I was in a program that we are reviewing our constitution, because we were under a government of 22 years that many African people believe is a dictatorial government. And in 2016, the Gambian people went back to the pool and elect a new president. And we felt, our constitution was somehow violated, because there were a lot of amendments, about 53 amendments from 1997 to 2016. So as a result, the country feel it is important for us to change our constitution. And as young people, we are taking lead in the development, in the write-up of the new constitution. We've gone around the National Youth Council with some support from the United Nations Development Program in the Gambia, have gone to all the districts, all the consequences, electoral consequences in the Gambia, to meet with each of the consequences. We met with about 200 young people to have their views about what should be in the new constitution. And we are saying the constitution should be youth friendly. And we are doing that. And we also introduced Not Too Young to Run in the Gambia. And today we thank God, we have about 50% of our National Assembly members are young people. You go to the local government councils, you have about 75% of those representatives are also young people. How did we do this? We mobilized young people and talked to them, sensitize them to take politics, because oftentimes most of the African young people see politics as a game for people who have failed or whatsoever. And there they said they don't want to interfere in politics. But we felt, if you are not in politics, you will not be able to be at the table to decide what your fate should be. So it is important for you to be involved, so that when you are lucky to be at the center of the table, you will be able to make decisions that will be there for the betterment of the young people of our country. And we've achieved all this. Currently, we are working on the Youth Connect, trying to provide opportunities economically to young people. In the Gambia, I can say the National Youth Council of the Gambia, today, any organization that is formed in that country and you call yourself a youth organization, if you are not registered with the NYC within a stipulated time, we called on you to put that name of youth from your organization, because the act that established the council, that was an act 2000, the Youth Council Act 2000, has mandated the National Youth Council to register all youth organizations in that country. And any organization that call themselves a youth organization and are not registered with the Youth Council is not a youth organization, and even the government does not recognize that as a youth organization. So that is how we are doing in the Gambia, and we are even providing leadership to a lot of youth organizations within Africa. Not long ago, I was invited to Kenya at the Ashanti Forum, that is the Africa Summit on Entrepreneurship and Innovation, to deliver a statement on how the Gambia Youth Council was able to mobilize and have that grip over all the young people of that country. And we did. I went there. It was a very successful program. And still, we are on the move, trying to ensure we share the best practices that we have in the Gambia with our colleague youth councils around Africa, because it is together that we can make the Africa that we want. It is together we can deliver the Africa that we want. We cannot deliver it in isolation. If we are vibrant in the Gambia and other our colleague youth councils or our colleague countries does not even have youth councils, then it means our strides, our efforts will be meaningless. So it is better for us all to join our hands together to ensure we support and empower young people. Today, anything the government of that country is doing, young people are at the center. We are always at the center of everything that the government is doing. So that shows that the council is not only talking, but we are trying to, because to get that space, you need to fight for it. The authorities will not give it to us like that. And that's a signal that I want to send to all the national youth councils across Africa. The space that we need as young people need to be fought for. It will not be given to us on a silver platter. We need to fight for it. Anyway, the consultative meeting at PYU right now, I think it is the time, it is the West Africa region that is currently around to discuss on what are some of the things that we need to do, because PYU's image has a big problem. And in trying to restore back the image, there is a need for us to revisit, and concentrate on a reform, so that we will have that bright face, that we can face donor partners, we can face development partners to sell our programs, to sell our projects to them, so that they will be able to support African young people. Because that is very key. And that's why there are certain clauses, there are certain areas in our statute that need to be revisited, and we give it a consideration to ensure that we carry on a reform. And when we reform, we will be able to win the hearts of either the African Union, the United Nations agencies in Africa, and all other development partners within Africa. And that's why we gathered here in Kinshasa to discuss about what are some of the reformations that we need to do. And some of the issues that we agreed, we are agreeing on right now is, the issue of, leadership, is the issue of the statute. What are some of the things that need to be done into it? What are some of the changes that need to be done? The role of procedures are also key at our discussions, which will be developed by the executive and the executive committee, the president and his or her executive committee, and be reviewed at the Congress for adoption and continue on the process. We're also looking at the positions within the committee. And we as a team, we are agreeing on the fact that, the members of the Executive Council need to be reduced, to ensure that we have a sizable number that we will be able to effectively implement the decisions of the Congress. It doesn't mean to have a 100-man team and you go there and you have only 2 or 3 people that are active in that team. So these are some of the things that we are looking for. And the issue of Secretary General being voted at Congresses, we are also looking at that to ensure that we have a Secretary General that is going to be appointed. Probably we do the advertisement, and people who are interested to serve the PYU as Secretary Generals or permanent secretaries or executive directors apply, and they go through an interview process, and whoever becomes the winner takes up the mantle of leadership to head the administration at the Pan-African Youth Union. So these are some of the issues that we are discussing, because we are working on a reform, and we also agreed that the PYU executives should come up with a financial manual, because people who are giving you their money want to see some of those instruments to understand that when they give you their monies, the monies will be in good hands. So these are what some of the things that we are discussing as a region, West Africa, to ensure that we all look together, our statutes and also the rule of procedures that are developed to ensure that we put our inputs. And after putting our inputs, then we go to the probably anytime the Congress is convened, we go there and discuss it and put things together and do the adoptions and carry on with the work to ensure that PYU becomes more responsive and more visible to the young people of Africa, because this is the only platform that we have as young people of Africa to ensure that the voice and demands and the needs of young people are met. I think when you talk about challenges in Africa with regards to young people, there are really issues, a lot of issues that are challenging the empowerment and development of young people within Africa. One challenge that we have is finance. Finance is a big challenge for the Pan-African Youth Union and for the entire youth organizations within Africa. In fact, yesterday during our deliberation, people were talking about resources, and I came up with a conclusion that we don't have to labor on resources. The most important thing is, let's try to give a very beautiful face to the Pan-African Youth Union, and there they will make money for us and we will be able to implement our programs. And the other thing is also about the African leaders. The African leaders, they also have not opened up to the young people. Oftentimes in Africa, our leaders talk about young people. The talk that they do on young people is more than the service that they deliver to young people. So these are some of the things that we need to look into. We also talk about leadership crisis among us, the African young people. And one thing that is also key is, most of us, the young leaders who have passed the age of being a youth, does not want to step down because you have access to travels, you have access to go to meetings, and you will get your per diems or whatsoever. So we refuse to step down when we are above the youth age. And I think it is high time for us as young people of Africa, if we are talking about our elders to change, we are talking about our governments to change, we are talking about our presidents to change, the change should start with ourselves. When you know you are above 35, you are no more a youth. The Africa Youth Charter defines a youth as somebody from 13 to 35 years of age. If you are above 35 years, why are you holding on to power? Why are you holding on to something that belongs to young people? Simply hand over the power, then you go and try your best at somewhere else. This is seriously affecting Africa. Almost every other organization in Africa you go to, you will find power struggle. I think it is high time for us to appreciate each other and support each other. Because when you have, like today, I'll take a very good example of Francine Muyumba being the president of the Pan-African Youth Union. If Francine failed today, the entire young people of Africa fails. So why should we fight for our own failure? I think it would be important and it would be better for us to support Francine to succeed, and we will all succeed together. For me, these are some of the things that we need to do. These are some of the things that we need to look upon and try to open gates. Young people, the biggest challenge, I talk about governments, I talk about other issues, but the most serious issue that we have, it is our own young people, African young people, exploiting their own brothers and sisters. These are some of the issues that we are facing in this country. Because you have access to travels, you can travel to anywhere, you are exploiting your brothers and sisters in your country or in your organization, depressing them so that they will not know anything and they will not have access to some of those opportunities is rampant in Africa. And it is high time. I told people, and that is my firm belief, I am going to live for this continent and I'm going to die for this continent, because this is the only continent that I have. I cannot come from Europe. I will not be an American. I will not be an Asian. I can only be an African. And that's what I am. And that's what I'm always proud of being. So in such an issue, the development of Africa, you play your part and allow others to do their part. Then we all move together. But in the absence of that, we will continue to fight among ourselves, we will continue to struggle among ourselves, and we will continue to stay at the back of development around the world. So that's why I called on, anywhere I go to, I call on young people for us to unite as Africa. It will be very difficult for us to have voice. Today we are divided. Even African Union, that comprised of our head of states of our various government, doesn't take us seriously because we are divided. But when we are united and we are all speaking the same language, we are all speaking the same voice, the African Union will be afraid of us. But just because we are divided on lines, probably the AU will work with this other team, or we work with this other team, or work with that other fraction, and that wouldn't help us. So the better we speak one voice, the better we all talk with the same language, the better for us as African young people. And the development of this continent lies entirely in our hand. We are the present and the future. We are the present and the future. Yes, people believe they are the future leaders, they are the future leaders. We are not only the future, we are the present. Today, I have my younger brothers who are parliamentarians in my country. I have my younger brothers who are councillors in my local government area in my country. So we are no longer the future, we are the present. So the earlier we unite, the earlier we change our attitude, the better for us. So I think the African young people need to change their attitude. And these are some of the challenges. We need to have finance, we need to get the support of our African leaders. We need to get the support of ourselves as African young people so that we will be able to develop. And also international partners and development partners, need to come and support young people, because this is the generation that will come to take ownership or take the leadership of this continent. So if they are not prepared today, they have not given the necessary capacity, they are not given the necessary trainings, what future are they planning for Africa? It is going to be a very rough future. So I think that's why it is better for all our leaders to understand that the young people need to be supported, both financially, morally, technically, capacity-wise, to ensure that when they go out, there will be a generation that will take over from them and will move the Africa to the direction that they are all yearning for. Because I know all these leaders that we have on the continent have only one direction, that is to make their countries the best in the world. And when our African countries become the best in the world, we are empowered. We have the power. Africa today is the richest continent in the world. We have a lot of resources here that are not available in other continents. But why are we still poor? This is something that we need to be asking questions. And people have been asking questions for a long time. I think it is high time that we provide answers. Why are we poor? With all the resources that we have, with all the people that we have. I can say almost 2, 3, 4 thirds of the world's population stays in Africa. Whatever you say, they say the third world countries. And all African countries are third world countries. When it comes to diseases, we are. When it comes to unemployment, we are. When it comes to everything, it is us. Why can't we turn the wheel and make Africa to rewrite the history of Africa? And it is us. The pen is with us. It is left to us to rewrite the history and make it a positive history, or it is left to us to leave it as it is, and we all feel it together, and as African young people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.